What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. As always, it is a nice, fresh, rainy day out here in Arizona. Definitely a surprise, but that makes the weather inside this garage excellent for today's project. So as you guys can see by the thumbnail, we're doing a quick upgrade. Definitely one I've been waiting for. Of course, it's cold air intake, the infamous puddle sucker, as some people like to call it. But out here in Arizona, we really only have like 2 months worth of rain, and other than that, it's dry. So, had this on my old SCION TC, probably over 10 years. Never had any issues. It's just, you gotta be smart about it, and don't go driving through puddles. Nonetheless, let's jump right into the project today. Over at the engine bay, I already got the hood open, and I do have the vehicle up in the air. You don't necessarily have to do this just for the intake install. You really only just gotta remove the front bumper. But I'm doing another project, which is just reinstalling a new splash guard. This is another way you can get to it. So I took off the splash guard over here on the driver's side because that's how we'll mount the lower portion of the intake. Everything else will be done up here. So jumping right into it, first things first, we got to take off your old OEM air box. So this is your little evap valve here. You're going to take off your mass airflow sensor, and then we'll get ready to take everything else off. So start with those two. Once you have those two things off, just set them aside where they're not going to get damaged or dirty. We're going to turn our attention now to the bottom of your intake hose where it connects to your throttle body. You'll have your little clamp down there. I have a worm gear clamp. Go ahead and loosen up that worm gear down here. Then at that point, all we got to do is just pop off the front tabs, and then this whole top part should be able to come off. Go ahead and pull up on it from the front. There you go, front part is released. Got it released from the throttle body. Go ahead and take off your little breather tube here from the engine bay. The new kit comes with one. So I took mine off. I'm just gonna have to push mine up under the PCV valve hose. And then now at that point, you should be able to finagle it out. So yeah, there you go. Here's a good opportunity to take a look at your throttle body. See how the little throttle blade looks. Mine looks clean enough for sure. Now, we'll go ahead and turn attention to this part. Simply take out your air filter, set that aside. You're going to remove these 3 bolts. They're 10mm bolts, and this lower portion will come off. Alright, screws are off, bolts are off. There you go. We'll take off the little cold air port, or the fender port, whatever you want to call it. There's 2 little plastic screws you can remove by hand. One here, and there's another one right here. This is the bottom side of it. Found it easiest to remove it from the top, that lower little plastic screw down there. I took off the cap to my fuse panel, and I can easily get my hand down there and then unscrew that guy. Over at the workbench, there's your old, here's your bright, shiny new. The one I got was just a generic no-name brand intake off of Amazon. It's a 2.5-inch diameter, so that'll be perfect for what I need. And then it has black couplers, which is what I wanted. As far as the look I'm going for the SCION, as far as the engine bay, without further ado, we'll go ahead and just grab this piece, the piece that has the little mass airflow sensor port on it. This is what's going to connect to your throttle body, and then this is what's going to connect to the second portion, which will go down into your little fender well. So grab your hose. You're going to use the reduced one. Go ahead and throw your worm gear on it ahead of time, make it a lot easier, and then we'll go ahead and push it into place. So here's the pipe. You're going to go in front of your fuel line, but underneath that PCV. Just careful not to scratch anything. Hopefully you guys can see, but we got it above the throttle body. I already got my clamp on there. I tightened it just enough to hold it in place, but I think I tightened it too much. Loosen it up just a little bit. Hopefully that's enough. There we go. Now that you got it for the most part in place, go ahead and set your worm gears in a location where it'll be easy to remove them later on. That's one thing that some people forget to do if they put them on ahead of time. So nonetheless, now I'm just going to go ahead and cinch down on my worm gear, and then we'll try to get the second piece on and get it fitted so it's not hitting anything. It had this little mounting point, which I presume is for the PCV little valve here. So I wasn't able to reach going from the top side as far as the hose goes. So I just disconnected the hose, put it underneath again, and then it looks like it'll reach kind of right here. I still have this little bracket from the OEM air box, So I'm gonna tighten this down. I'm gonna get just a bolt and a nut and probably some Loctite, and I'm just gonna use this mounting point to tighten the PCV down to this part. Go ahead and take your mass airflow sensor. We're gonna mount it right here. As you can see, it looks like this guy comes with its own screws. So I'm gonna take off those screws and then just simply mount that in place. And then with that in place, you're gonna take your little spacer, which is provided with the kit. Right up underneath that tab, as you can see, there's a threaded hole. So this guy should match up, which it does. So you'll thread that spacer all the way down to the bottom. Position your hose so that the spacer goes right in between the center. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of the nuts that's provided. I'm gonna make my way underneath, and right there, you can see that? That's the bottom of it. So I'm gonna put that lock nut on the bottom side, and as well as put the lock nut on the top side. All right, so we have our second piece of pipe here, and before you start trying to put it in there, make sure you put your coupler on, throw your 2 worm gears over that side of the hose. I'm gonna go from the fender up, slide it through the hole, and then I'll push it into place like that. I need 2 hands to do this, so let me just do it real quick and show you what it looks like. Right, so there we go, got it through. I did not tighten down the hose yet because we're gonna need to adjust it down up underneath. Grabbed my intake cone. We'll make our way up underneath. Like I said, I'm going through the fender well. Normally you'll take off the bumper and you can do it from there. But I'm just gonna essentially line it up so that when I put this intake cone on, it won't be really hitting too much of anything, just because I don't want it to vibrate and like cause damage and maybe even fall off. So go ahead and adjust, move the top coupler as well as move this bottom coupler and move the pipe so that your intake cone is in a nice position. There we go, guys. I went ahead and tightened down the couplers at the top. As you can see, there it is behind the splash guard. It's in a nice position where it's not gonna hit anything. So back up top, only thing left we gotta do is essentially put the hose back on, your little breather hose, which you'll take off this little cover. If yours does come with the cover, go ahead and slide it on here, and then of course on the inside push that guy on, and yeah, that's pretty much all you got to do. It's not going to come off because your engine's pretty much always under vacuum, so it's not going to push it off. We're pretty much done, and that's how you install cold air intake in an 05 to 2010 SCION TC. So just like that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for watching another great video with Everything Averin. Finished up installing your cold air intake. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing more performance mods for the SCION TC, more aesthetic mods, and then of course more videos for all the other cars in the garage. But thank you once again for watching. Check you guys out in the next video soon.